everyone, welcome to the Study Spectrum TV channel, and today we are going to start with chapter 3, synthetic fibers and plastics. So students, if you recall, we have also discussed about the fibers in your previous classes like 6 and 7, but where we have discussed about the natural fibers. So as what happens, these most clothing materials are fabrics we use in our day-to-day life made from thin thread-like fibers. So these thin thread-like filaments are called the fibers. Now students, but if you recall, in previous classes we have discussed about the natural fibers. So what are those natural fibers? That we get from the plants as well as animals. So the natural fibers which we get from the plant are jute and cotton, whereas many natural fibers we also get from the animals like silk and wool. So silk is obtained from the silkworm, and it was firstly discovered in 2700 BC in China. So silk we obtained from silkworm, and after rearing and making of fabrics from the silkworm. So this procedure is called the sericulture. Whereas if we talk about the wool, so wool is obtained from the fleece of sheep or goat, yak, camel and hairs of rabbits. So these are the natural fibers which we obtain from the plants as well as animals. So students, what we can say, that natural fibers have been used for clothing since ancient time, but nowadays synthetic fibers are largely used for making cloth and other different materials. So what are these synthetic fibers? So students, we can say that synthetic fibers are those which has been made by the human beings, or we can say that synthetic fibers we obtain in the laboratory. So students, if you try to recall the uniform pattern of a necklace, so how it is made up of? It is made up of beads, and these beads are joined with the help of thread. Whereas if you try to make a long chain with the help of paper clip, so what you will see, that how this long chain made of. So this is made up of number of small paper clips. So same is with the synthetic fibers also. It consists of multiple units, and what are these units? These are the chemical substances, and which together to form a single unit, that is called a polymer. So what is this polymer? So if you break this word polymer, you will obtain, it is made up of two words, poly and mer. So poly means many and mer means unit. So what we can say, that polymer is made up of many repeating small molecules. And what are these small molecules? These are called the monomers. So if we break the monomers, so you will obtain mono. Mono means single and mer means unit. So what we can say, when monomers combines, they form the polymers, as they form by the many units of monomers. So the process of formation of polymer by a small molecule, that is monomer, is called the polymerization. So students, if we talk about the polymers, so these are two types of polymers. One is natural polymer and another one is a synthetic polymer. So let us discuss about the natural polymer. So they are formed naturally, like we can take the example of starch and cellulose. So they are made up of many repeating unit of glucose, whereas protein is made up of amino acids. So these are the natural fibers. Whereas if we talk about the artificial fibers, so they are man-made fibers, or they synthesized in the laboratory. These can be rayon, nylon, polyester and acrylic. So these are the synthetic fibers. So what we have discussed, that polymers can be of two types, natural fiber and synthetic fibers. So students, most synthetic fibers are obtained from coal, petroleum and natural gases. Let us discuss about all the kind of polymers. So here we are going to start with the rayon. So students, if we talk about the rayon, so it is also called the artificial silk. So students, as we have already discussed about the silk, that we got the silk from the silkworm, and it was firstly discovered in China. But what is this? Rearing of silkworm and obtained a fabric from the silkworm is a costly practice. But if you see the silk fabrics of silk, it has a beautiful texture and everybody attracts towards it. So because of that, as it is a costly kind of fabric, many attempts were made to make a artificial silk. Why? So that's why rayon is called the artificial silk, and it was obtained by the scientists at the end of 19th century. So how it is obtained? It is obtained by the chemical treatment of wooden pulp, and these rayon can be dyed in a variety of colors. And when this rayon we mixed with cotton, we can make a different kind of home furnishing. As we can say that rayon is used for different purposes of making bed sheets, carpets, sofa covers and curtains, etc. So students, it is all about the rayon. How do we obtain the rayon, and why do we need to form a artificial silk? Now we are going to discuss about the nylon. So students, if we talk about the nylon, so it is a first truly synthetic fiber, and it was first produced in the 1930s by the scientists of the DuPont's company. Now how it was prepared? So it had been prepared with the help of coal, water and air. So it is about the nylon, and what is its properties? So it is lustrous and easy to wash, and they do not lose its strength even if you use it many times. Now nylon fibers are also strong, elastic, and they have a light weight. So because of all these things, all these quality and properties, nylon is very much popular in making stockings, socks, different kinds of saris, parachutes, terepulines. Other than this these nylon fibers are also used for making bristles of the toothbrush. Whereas as nylon fiber is so strong, so it is also used for making ropes, and what we can say that we also may use nylon for making strings of badminton and tennis rackets. Sometimes we make the rope for climbing to the mountain. So because of all these properties, we can say that nylon thread is even more stronger than the steel wire. So it is all about the nylon and its quality and its uses. Now students, we are going to perform one activity. So students, what is the aim of this activity? To compare the strength of different fibers. So materials which we needed will be weight box with different weights, like from 1 to 100 grams, iron stand with clamp, hook or pan, and thin threads of nylon, wool, cotton and silk. But what precautions you have to take? That all the threads should be of almost equal length and equal thickness. So how we are going to perform this activity? Firstly, what you have to do? Tie one end of the particular thread to hook or pan and the other end to the clamp. Next, what you have to do? Put a small weight on the hook or pan, then keep on increasing the weight till the thread breaks. Now what you have to do? You have to note total weight required to break the thread. Now you have to repeat this activity with all the fibers like silk, cotton, nylon or wool. Now you have to observe the weight, like how much weight you need to break the thread. For this you can make a column. So how will you make the column? Just make 3 columns on sheet and write down serial number, type of thread, and the last column will be total weight to break the thread. So students, what are you going to observe? You will observe that more weight is required to break the nylon thread as compared to other fibers. So what we have seen, the thread that breaks at the maximum weight will be a nylon, and it is the strongest thread. So students, it is all about the activity. Now we are going to discuss about the polyester. So what is polyester? So students, this is a different type of synthetic fiber. Now if I am saying the word polyester, so it is actually made up of repeating units of chemical that is called the ester. As students, esters are the chemicals which gives fruits to their smell. And the most commonly used polyester is called the terylene. So what is the role of terylene? So it is blended with the natural fibers to improve its property. As if we take the example of terracotta. So you must have heard about the terracotta, like different fabrics we wear in our day-to-day life, those are made up of terracotta. So why we mix cotton with the terylene? To improve its property. So other than this, we can also take the example of terry wool. So sometimes wool is also blended with the terylene. So what we have seen that we use some natural fibers to make or improve the property of terylene. So as the name suggests, students, these are made by the mixing of two types of fibers. So this is about the commonly known polyester, that is a terylene. Other than this, one more popular polyester is a PET. So what is this PET? PET is a polyethylene tetraphthalate, and it is this is a most familiar kind of polyester which we also use in our day-to-day life, like we use it keeping different kinds of groceries, spices or other things. So if we talk about the properties of this polyester, so it is a strong, lightweight and has a good elasticity. So what is the meaning of elasticity? So the ability of material to return its original side after using or after stretching it is called the property of elastic. So that's why we can say that polyesters are elastic also, and they resist wrinkling and they springs back into when it is creased. Other than this, they can be washed and dried very easily. So students, it is all about the properties of polyester. Now the uses of polyester. So students, the polyester we use for making lightweight sails. We also used it for making recording tapes in audio cassettes, video cassettes and other than floppy disk. Sometimes, and we have also discussed about the terracotta. So why do we use terracotta? For making shirts, skirts, formal shirts and other kind of dresses. Whereas terry wool is used for making a formal suits. So all these about the uses of polyester. So now we are going to discuss about the other different synthetic fiber, that is a acrylic. So students, acrylic is also known as Orlon or a acrylion, and it has a very much resemblance to the wool. So what is the properties of acrylic? So student, it is a warm, soft, light and it has a lot of flexibility, and it is also resistant to moths and chemicals. So what are the uses of acrylic? It is used for making shawls, different kinds of woolen clothes, socks, carpets and blankets. So why do we use acrylic instead of wool? So students, as we know that wool is obtained from the natural fibers, and earlier we have discussed that it is like acrylic is resistant to moth. So students, if you remember, or in your house if you keep the pure woolen clothes without any precaution, sometimes different kinds of insects and moths attack on this, because this fiber we get from the natural sources like animals. But if we talk about the acrylic, so clothes made up of acrylic are relatively cheaper and available in variety of colors, and you can available it anywhere, and they are available it anywhere. So it is all about the acrylic. So students, in this chapter we have discussed about the synthetic fibers like rayon, nylon, polyester and acrylic. So all the synthetic fibers have a different qualities. Now what are the advantages of synthetic fibers? So students, as we know that we use natural fibers for making different kinds of fabrics. So why do we need to make this kind of synthetic fibers? What is the advantages of these synthetic fibers? So students, they have a good elasticity. Other than this, they do not wrinkle easily and they are readily available than those fabrics which made up of natural fibers. Whereas it can handle a large amount of weight. As earlier we have seen in activity that nylon can hold a more weight than the natural thread. So it is all about the advantages of synthetic fiber. Now we are going to discuss about what are the disadvantages of synthetic fibers. So students, they require careful ironing as they melt very easily. Like if you go to iron the clothes made up of cotton or made up of synthetic fiber, you will see that we have to take more precaution for ironing the synthetic fibers. Why? Because they melt very easily. Other than this, it has one more disadvantages, like it cannot absorb more sweating. So it is not advisable to wear these kind of synthetic fiber clothes in a summer because they do not absorb the sweat which come out from our body. Other than this, one more advantage of the synthetic fiber that they catch fire very easily. Therefore, sometimes they can damage us and sometimes we not wear these kind of synthetic fiber when if you are going to nearby fire, like if you are going to kitchen, we should always prefer to wear cotton clothes. So students, these are the advantages and disadvantages of the synthetic fibers. Now students, we are going to perform one activity as we have discussed that cotton clothes can absorb much water. That's why we prefer wearing cotton clothes in summers. So why should we avoid this synthetic fiber wearing in summers? So we can perform one activity. So what is this activity? To compare the water absorbing capacity of clothes which are made up of natural fibers as well as the clothes which are made up of synthetic fibers. So what you have to do, students? You have to take a piece of clothes of equal size of like we can take a cotton cloth or we can take a synthetic fiber of like rayon, nylon or anything. Now what you have to do, take equal amount of water in a different mug and just what you have to do, in in mug A put a cotton cloth, whereas in mug B put the nylon or cloth made up of synthetic fiber. So what you will observe? You will observe that cotton clothes absorb more water than the synthetic fiber. So this is the activity in which we can compare the water absorbing capacity of clothes which are made up of natural fibers and the clothes which are made up of synthetic fibers.
Choose the right kindergarten, a right bag and matching bottle to go with, the right school, the right friends, choose the right subjects and score well, be an expert in all, the right teacher and make sure that they like you, choose the right timing, the right bus and take a cab if getting late, the right train and don't stand near the gates, mind the pockets, better get into ladies' compartment and make sure your mustache hasn't started coming. Choose the right study time and forget games, IPL, IHL, rock and metal, guitar, X. The right group and be a model to your brother. Seriously. Choose the right syllabus, the right test paper, keep guessing questions for exams. Choose the right branch, the right college, the right stream, choose the right career. Lucky to have a father's business to take care of and a father to allow that. The right counselor, the right form and make sure the project is submitted on time. Choose the right website and rely on your friends for more information. Oblivious of the sites they have been to, there is no end to your woes. Getting better With every step you climb up the ladder, the summer vacation's shorter, the bucket list bigger, the night darker, the books heavier. The only light you have is your friends ahead of you. Probably he is right. Ever thought how he got the direction? No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes. No more missing classes for rain, rally, and nonsense. Get your interest back in subjects through our creative ways of teaching. Doubts, concepts, applications, all explained through one vibrant animation. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Special programs only for basic foundation and paper analysis. Personality development, career counseling, admissions, hobbies, all covered. A new approach to study with long-term perspective. So sit back comfortably in your homes and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
So students, you must be familiar with a lot of plastic articles that we use it in our daily life. If you try to make a list, you will see that lot of articles present like PET jars, water bottles, tables, mugs, basket, doors. So there are a lot of items which are made up of plastics. So what we can say, they become a part of our life, and they are available in all possible shapes and sizes, and they can be molded into any shape. They may be recycled, reused, and we can give it to any color. So because of all properties, it finds such a variety of uses. Like other synthetic fibers, as we have discussed that these synthetic fibers are made up of polymers. So what are those polymers? So polymers are also formed by the monomers. So like this, plastics are also a kind of polymers, and they form an important class of synthetic materials. So what are the arrangement of polymers in plastic? So if you discuss about the plastics, the arrangement of the individual units may be linear or a cross-linked. So students, here we are going to discuss about the cross-linked fibers. They have also side chains and a cross links which connect different polymer chains, and it can be of two types: thermoplastics, whereas a thermosettings plastics. So students, if you observe, there are some plastics which can be easily molded into any shape, or whenever you want you can mold it. But there are some plastics which you cannot mold it in any shape, and if you try to force it, it can be broken easily. So here we are going to start with the thermoplastics. So they have a linear and lightly cross-linked polymers, and they form a class of thermoplastics, and they can be melted by heating, and thereafter they can be molded into any shape. So we can take the example of PVC. So what is PVC? PVC is a polyvinyl chloride, and we can take another example of thermoplastic, that is a LDPE. So what is LDPE? It is a low density polyethylene. So students, it is all about the thermoplastics. Now we are going to discuss about the thermosetting plastics. So here they are heavy cross-linked. After shaping, they form a class of thermosetting plastics. So thermosetting plastics cannot be molded into any shape easily. What are the examples of thermosettings? We can take the example of melamine utensils and bakelite handles of cookers, karahi, and you can see that we use it in many utensils. So this is all about the thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Now what are the uses of plastics? So since most plastics can be easily molded in any shape, after heating we can use for it into variety of objects. Now different types of plastics that we come across in our daily life, we are going to discuss about that. So let us start with PET. So what is PET? It is a polyethylene tetraphthalate, and we can use it for making containers, bottles, PET jars, etc. Whereas there is another example of plastic is a SDPE. So what is SDPE? It is a high density polyvinyl ethylene. Now the second one is SDPE, that is a high density polyethylene. So where do we use this plastic? We use it for making strong and corrosive containers, so that we can keep the household things like pickles, vinegar, acetic acid and strong chemicals like bleaches and acid. So why do we make SDPE plastic for keeping all these things? So that they can not blown away from the containers and they do not react with even this kind of plastic. Now LDPE. So what is LDPE? It is a low density polyethylene. So where do we use it? We use it for making poly bags. Why? Because it is a low density thing. So it is we use it for packaging of vegetables, fruits, or other than this we can use it for packaging of food. Now PVC. So students, you must have listened many times about the PVC pipe. So what is this PVC pipe? It is a polyvinyl chloride and it is used for making sanitary pipes, water pipes. You must have seen plumber always fit these kind of pipes in our home or for any sanitary uses. Now the last one is PS, that is a polyestyrene. So where do we use this? It is a kind of thermocol and we use it for packaging of fragile things like AC, refrigerator and different kinds of electrical machines, whereas we also pack different kinds of glass items like glasses, bowls. So why do we use thermocol? So that our things cannot be break with any jerk. So students, it was all about the different kinds of plastics. As although different types of plastics differ in some physical and chemical properties, but they share some common characteristics. So what are these common characteristics? So we are going to start with the thermal conductivity. So as we talk about the thermal, means it is relating to the heat. So they are also, the plastics are poor conductors of heat. That's why they are used for making of handles of cooking vessels. They are also used in a refrigerators and the containers of microwave, because they are the poor conductors of heat and we can easily hold it as they do not get very hot when we use it on the heat. Now electrical conductivity. So here the plastics are also a poor conductors of electricity. That's why we use it in covering material of electric appliances, electrical outlets, and also we use it for handle of screwdrivers. Now reactivity. So students, as earlier we have discussed that we keep different kind of chemicals, strong chemicals even, and bleaches and even household thing like acetic acid, different kinds of pickles. So where do we keep? We keep it in a plastic containers. So why don't we keep it in any metal things? Why? Because metal can react with our chemicals and acids, but the plastic don't corrode and they rust thereafter, used in homes and laboratories for keeping strong chemicals and pickles, etc.